In a world where a robber man must gather together his crew in search of a legendary treasure. In a world where the pirates are opposed by the evil and corrupt world government. In a world where hysterical cyborgs shout out "super" and attach nipple lights. The series I'm describing is my joint favorite series next to Naruto. This is Ichiro Oda's pirate series, One Piece. But the real question is, what factors come into play that make this series so successful? Hey guys, J-Man's Productions on the J-Zone here with my first episode of the J-Man Documentaries. This is sort of more of a prototype of this, so if it looks really weird and it's mishmashed in a really odd way, please tell me because I want to try and improve this and make it better. And I chose a simple topic to talk about today, which is the continuous success of One Piece. I just want to talk about a few things that may make One Piece so popular, because if you didn't know, One Piece has sold the most amount of manga copies out of any manga ever created. So I just want to take a quick time to thank Impart Productions for making that really awesome intro. Sorry that I delayed this for so long. School was just horrible for me, and now I'm going to make sure that next time, I promise to do something around that time, I actually take out the time and plan out things better. Thank you to Yokorama and Game Manic, because they actually did really cool little videos for me for this. Sorry if they're a bit outdated, because one of the things that Manic talks about is Volume 61, which at the time was the newest volume, but right now it isn't. And Yokorama talks a bit about the Fisherman Island arc. But anyway, let's move on to the first part, which is Oda's influences. When looking at something successful, the first step should always be to take a look at the influences that triggered that success. Simple things like looking at how Sega was influenced by Mario. Because of its success, they made Sonic to combat with Mario. From Osamu Tezuka being influenced to Disney, Oda and Osamu Tezuka actually have a similarity because they were both influenced by Disney in the way that they did some of their art style. If you look at Astro Boy, it's almost cartoony in some way, and so is the start of One Piece. Osamu Tezuka is the guy that did Astro Boy, but so is One Piece. One Piece at the start, a lot of people consider it to be very cartoony, and some of the chapters and the anime. So Oda sort of took some of that from the sort of Disney aspect and the way Disney used to be. So when people say to me, everything in the Western sector of the world that they bring out that's creative is bad, I just think, no, not really, because there have been times when the Western audience has, no, the Western creative sector has come out with really great things, such as Disney, Pixar, and the list goes on, even with cartoons. So you can't judge something just because of the sector of the world it comes from. Another thing that Oda had a heavy influence from was working with Nobuo Watsuki. If you don't know who Nobuo Watsuki is, he's the mangaka for Rurouni Kenshin. Rurouni Kenshin is actually a really well established anime and manga all around the world. And Nobuo Watsuki didn't just do Rurouni Kenshin, he actually did one of the series I've actually recently got into, Musou Renkin, which is pretty good as well. He was an assistant to Nobuo Watsuki, alongside the mangaka of Shaman King, who is Hiroyuki Take. I find it hard to say his name, I'm not the best with Japanese names, who did Shaman King. So you could obviously see he may have picked up a few tips from Nobuo while he was working with him. Another thing that Oda took influences from were some of the movies he used to collect, such as Seven Samurai. If you look at the East Blue arc of One Piece, you may see certain parallels from Seven Samurai in the way that Luffy was gathering up members of his crew, and every time he would gather a member of the crew, there'll be a sort of conflict in the island there was. So, like when he found Usopp, he was with Zoro, and they had to sort out that conflict for them to then go on and go on to the next person, which was Sanji. It was like this sort of thing that, as individuals, they're not that great. They are good at what they do, like Nami being a great navigator, Usopp being a great sharpshooter, but when they all come together, they're somewhat of an elite force, and that was what Oda wanted to emphasize in the manga. So you can see that he took ideas from other things, um, like even from Strong World, who Oda played a big part in. Oda actually got the scene where Shiki and Luffy were fighting in the snow from some of the old Yakuza movies he really loved, because he's a big Yakuza fan. So the thing is, bottom line, what I'm trying to emphasize here is that you have to be creative. Yeah, every story has probably been told about 50 times over, but it's the way you execute it and the way you use your creativity to take some of those ideas and do stuff with it. That's why I appreciate Oda, because he took a lot of things that I wouldn't have known until I researched, and he did something really great with it. Um, yeah, so those were a few of Oda's influences. One of the things I want to talk about is the NHK documentary, which actually contributes to how successful One Piece is. The NHK can be described as the Japanese version of the BBC. If you don't know what a BBC is, the BBC is like the British National Broadcast Channel, where basically every TV channel, every TV that someone buys in Britain has BBC One, BBC Two, which are they're the main channels for people that are British. The NHK can be described as something that teaches the Japanese to be Japanese, sort of how the BBC teaches the British people to be British, showing British values on it. There are none of the stupid reality TV shows in it. It's very low-key sort of stuff, very professional. There's no really lowbrow humor in it, and it's surprising that One Piece was featured in this, a comic, showing that this is how important One Piece has become in Japan and how big it's become. Um, they actually, in this documentary, they actually did a poll for who actually buys One Piece at one of the biggest leaders in Japanese book retailing, Kinokuniya. And they showed some of these statistics that ages 1 to 18, the percentage of people that buy it is 12%, and then ages 19 to 29 is 43%, ages 30 to 49 is 32%, and ages 50 and over is 13%, showing that loads of adults are actually buying One Piece, which is a pretty big thing that a comic could reach out to such an older audience. But please do take into note that it wasn't really specified whether they were buying it for younger people, but still, for that many adults to go out and buy something is a pretty big thing. Recently in the gaming world, no, actually not recently, but in the last couple of years in the gaming world, we've seen a rise in the casual gamers due to the Nintendo Wii. And this just goes to show that Oda was trying to gather such a wide span of audience, not just aiming it at the younger people, aiming it at everyone so they could sort of pick it up. A lot of people can relate to some of the struggles that the Straw Hats face, and at how they had to work. They came from the lowest spot, but they had to work out to sort of go to the top. They went to a shopkeeper, or shop owner, should I say, and he described One Piece as a monster, in that it was really hard for him to keep it in stock. That's how many people would go and buy the manga. This is the funny part of the NHK documentary, where they went to interview this housewife, and how One Piece impacted her. It was pretty funny because she's so obsessed with One Piece. If you think people on the internet are peacetards, and don't get me wrong, there are a lot of peacetards on the internet, this is taking it to the next level. She had an Oda shrine. She would never miss an episode of One Piece. She was always hooked to it, and she always got a family involved, getting them into One Piece. They had just a huge collection of figures and everything, and the reason why she loved One Piece so much is because she said it teaches her and her family, a lot about values, about how friendship is, and how the importance of friendship and family is, and all of those sort of morals and values that people get from anime and manga every single day as they read it. And I personally had a few problems with this, is that she was taking it too far, one, and two, as a parent, you're meant to initially teach your children about morals and values, but And what was I going to say? Yeah, you're meant to initially teach your children about morals and values. Yes, the fact is that we do learn about morals and values in anime and manga, like the importance of hard work can be shown in Naruto. Um, I could even say with Reborn about taking up responsibility that you may not want to take up. With One Piece, the importance of friendship and family. But the important thing is, parents should teach their kids the values before you get those, before you sort of, how do I put this? Before anime and manga reinforces it, because all sorts of films, all sorts of medias can teach you, reinforce these values. But initially, what I'm trying to say is your parents should teach you them. So I was kind of disappointed when I saw that, but it just goes to show that Oda's work did actually influence people in a lot of positive ways, which is really cool. They actually went to interview this um, college female student, and she had this massive spider web of all of the One Piece characters and having Luffy at the core. And she said One Piece, the way she interprets it, is that it's based on false trust. And she sort of described an example of how in the Enies Lobby arc, where Robin was made out to be a traitor when really she wasn't. She went away with the CP9, and Luffy and the crew went out to get her and bring her back into the circle of trust. And I thought this was funny because in the documentary they mentioned that in many interviews Oda has always stated that the truth behind One Piece is connecting people, and it's really awesome to see that people are getting that message from One Piece, and that may be the reason why it's so popular, because people get that sort of family feel and family theme and aspects from it. I want to quickly take time to talk about the anime, and one of those things is being the anime is coming up to the time skip, and one of the topics that quite a few people have discussed is One Piece New World. Will they sort of split up the anime into two parts, like with Naruto and Naruto Shippuden, and have it so One Piece has a second part to it? And this could be really big, because this could actually make this series even more of a success, because when you think about it, a lot of people, when they originally watched Dragon Ball, they didn't jump straight on. No, when they originally watched the Dragon Ball franchise, the first thing they watched was DBZ, and the original was Dragon Ball. So this could mean a lot of people could actually start from One Piece New World and then go back to it, because the way Dragon Ball Z is really special that you didn't necessarily have to watch Dragon Ball to see Dragon Ball Z. I'm not sure if the second half of One Piece is like that. You could consider it to be like that, but a lot of people could just jump onto the whole One Piece bandwagon from the new series, because they're like, oh, it's a new series, One Piece New World, starting from episode 1, not knowing that there was about over 500 episodes before that. So this could be a big thing. But the other thing is that the series has been going on for so long that some people would like it to stay under one title of it just being One Piece and having a thousand episodes to it. But I think having the series separated and having it in One Piece and then One Piece New World could actually increase popularity, because even so, with Naruto Shippuden, I know a few people that started from Naruto Shippuden, which is really odd, and actually went back to watch the other series. So having a time skip and splitting up the series into two could prove to be big for the series. Another thing I want to discuss is One Piece, the history outside of Japan. This is something quite a few people actually talk about unintentionally, because they talk about how the Four Kids dub affected the series, and how because of that it was all ruined, and that's why it's not #1 in America and such places. But I just want to talk about that quickly. It's because I don't think it's necessarily all because of Four Kids the reason why One Piece isn't as big outside of Japan. I think it's more to do with the actual series itself, and I'll explain this to you. Dragon Ball Z originally, I don't care what you guys say, the dub for Dragon Ball Z wasn't anything amazing. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't necessarily good, and some people would say it's really bad. I personally think it was okay, especially when you compare it to how good the Kai dub is. So why is Dragon Ball Z so successful in America especially, and in Europe especially. Even I can testify to this. The original Naruto, the dub of it, when it was shown on TV, the amount of stuff they cut out and censored, the way Viz Media started off with the Naruto dub wasn't very good at all, especially the way they presented it on TV. But admittedly, I know Viz Media got really, as the series got on, they got way better. They toned down the amount of editing they did. There was more blood in it. But the start of it was really, really bad. And One Piece obviously had the same thing with 4Kids, which I actually started off One Piece through 4Kids. And a lot of people blame me on that. And I think, didn't Naruto and DBZ have the same treatment? Bleach didn't, because it was an Adult Swim, which was lucky for it. But yeah, like, didn't those two series have the same problem, and they're still doing so successful outside of Japan? The reason for this, I think personally, is because of the way One Piece is set up. Compared to the way Naruto set up. Naruto, I feel, appeals to a more Western audience, because Naruto is about the individual striving to be the best, just by himself, sort of how Ash and Pokemon was. But like, I think Larry in his video, The Problems with Naruto, I think he put it the best. Naruto was pretty much the symbol for any underdog, and I feel that resonates a lot more with a Western audience, because there is this still a whole idea in America of the American dream, and just the way the political system is set up in there. Because I do government politics, I know that it's not very heavily based on welfare. It's heavily based on you trying to go out and work and get through life on your own merit. Sort of similar to how it is in Europe. Most of Europe is that it's not heavily based on the government trying to help you. You have to try and rise up yourself. And Naruto, sort of, to me especially, me seeing myself as an underdog in certain situations, it appeals to more people. But One Piece is more different. It's different to that. Yes, Luffy is somewhat of an underdog, but he has all of these people around him backing him up. So it's sort of a more we situation instead of I rising up. So that's something for you guys to think about. One has the ideology of I am going to become the best, and one has the ideology of we are all going to together do this, which I feel, Japan being the sort of more family-centric place compared to Europe, in my experience, I think the whole we thing resonates more with them than it does with us. So that's one thing to think. And I just want to put into perspective the amount of copies he sold. He sold over 200 million copies, and this whole number of 200 million came back from March, and now it's July, so it's going up and up and up as time goes by. This is a lot, because only 5 Shonen Jump series, and I think only 5 mangas have ever sold over 100 million. Obviously, Dragon Ball Z, Naruto's in there, and surprisingly for me anyway, Slam Dunk was sold over 100 million, and this other series called Kocha Kime has sold over 100 million, but that series has a load of volumes. It has over, I think it's coming up to 200 volumes or something like that. So One Piece has sold more than all of those series, even Dragon Ball Z. That's just showing how this series is just getting more and more steam as it's going along, and it's such a long-running series. I think it's coming up to 15 years. It's such a long-running series, and it's getting so much steam and getting so much more bigger each year. Here is Game Manic Big to talk you through Volume 61. Enjoy.
So, Volume 61 of One Piece. This in itself is just a really awesome volume for multiple reasons. The fact that Oda took the time to essentially take the cover page of the first freaking volume of One Piece and remix it for the 61st volume of One Piece. And to me, it's cool just because it shows his drawing style has evolved and how much the character himself has grown, even though the only difference between time skip Luffy and original Luffy is this big fucking X on his chest. Just saying. But I mean, it's a really good, I kind of like the way, and you also get to see how his art style has changed and how his characters have changed. This particular volume covers pretty much the beginning of the time skip up until them leaving for Fishman Island. And what I'm going to do is, as I'm going through the volume, I'm going to show my favorite parts of each of the volume. So first off, Zoro's introduction, full of wind. And you see how much he's changed as a character. Honestly, a lot of these characters haven't changed that much, but it depends on which characters we're referring to. I kind of like, and I like how how do I put it? This arc, the beginning of this arc starts off from where it should have. It feels like you're going on a new adventure, just like how I felt on episode 1. Well, not really the anime, but the manga. It felt at the beginning of the manga, Luffy was going into a new adventure. That's how this feels. It feels like everybody's reassembling, and that the journey has only just gotten started, which is how this whole volume fucking feels. It feels like we're restarting it, because remember the last few arcs we've had before this have been dark and depressing as shit. Except for probably the Amazon Lily arc. After that, it just gets really dark, from Impel Down to Marineford to Luffy's little breakdown. You get to see him back and smiling and shit. Luffy hasn't smiled in too fucking long, people. We need this motherfucker to smile. Well, I'm gonna try to see if I can find another. Oh, now the way the manga is, it doesn't look as cool.